This is Leonard Trawick. I'll be reading my poem, Interviews with Turtles. The poem has 4 stanzas, and each stanza is spoken by a different turtle. 1. Self-satisfaction. What could be more lovely than our streamlined lozenge? A walking Gothic dome, a living testudo. Each of us is a cathedral packed to the brim with turtle. The beauty of it, the absolute economy. 2. Flying turtles. As our aerodynamic shape attests, our ancestors were flighty creatures, their dorsal plates papery chitin, curved for lift. Stretched on extended limbs, their membranous wings oared the winds as they flitted from pond to tree like great primeval beetles. But through the ages, our thought turned inward. The body thickened as the mind took wing, and levity gave way to the gravitas you see in tortoises today. 3. Snapping turtle. Once I was soft. Every day I suffered some new hurt. My skin toughened. Now I keep to myself. Warm days I sit in the sun, but I prefer the quiet bottom of the pond. Keep your distance. Reach out to me and draw back a nub. 4. Estivation. In July, when the ponds dry up, I burrow into the cool ground and rest until autumn rains bring out new grubs and worms. Motionless, I float in an ocean of dirt like a moment in eternity. The middle state. This poem comes from my interest in when I found out that the human body is more or less 60% water. So I thought it would be interesting to compare humans to our cousin water. The middle state. Water loves the horizontal, yearns to shed all but 2 dimensions. The noisiest creek will nap behind a log, and any river worth a damn will stretch flat as it can between the nearest hills. Rapids hurry, cataracts blindly rush to reach the sea's level repose. But water cannot come to terms with depth. Troubled by the moon and riled by winds, the ponderous body slung beneath its skin heaves, bulges, hurls itself at cliffs, loses its footing, and collapses on the beach. In its cold gut, torpedoes prowl, and deeper still, wrecks, treasures, garbage settle in oblivion. We who are water's kin, flesh of its flesh, know all too well such longing and unrest. But we are baffled by those other states, when it grows rigid and no longer speaks, or when it's touched by the sun, it vanishes, giving itself up wholly to the air. This poem is titled Earth, not in the sense of the planet, but the sense of soil, as in a garden or graveyard. It consists of 5 stanzas, each of which is a sort of freestanding vignette on the subject. 1. Turning over loam in the springs, I'm tempted to take a mouthful. Take, eat, says the earth. This is my body. 2. Moles swim through the soil among trees' tentacles, tasting the dark flora, resting in the ground's cupped hands. 3. A farmer married his field. He plowed it and put in seed. After the harvest, he lay down. The field put its arms around him. 4. The garden is pregnant with potatoes, onions, beets. They taste like the earth. Borscht, dirt soup. 5. My parents have invited me to join them in their permanent home. Just a quiet get-together, they assure me. All your friends will be here. This poem is titled Erlking. The poem is a family picture that I wrote many years ago when my two children were very young, about 4 and 6 years old. The title is a reference to the poem by Goethe. The Erlking in this poem is a supernatural figure who carries children off to his evil castle and suggests their death. Erlking. We are sitting by the fire after supper. She, the mother, hems a blanket. I, the father, stare into the fire I have built. The girl is giving all Noah's animals a grand picnic. The little boy hangs over a drawing, slack-jawed with concentration, surrounded by Crayolas. Then I see, sitting beside me, my father, 10 years dead. I reach for his hand. I want you to see the children. I want to show you the papers I've written and my pictures. He smiles. No, it's late now. You must come along with me. I try to hold back, but can't. So I give him a tight hug and find I fit into his arms like a child. But then I see it is not my father, it is me, holding my little boy, saying, please, just a little longer. This poem is titled Prayer for a Deluge. It's a sonnet, mixed Petrarchan and Shakespearean, and it's one of my earliest poems. Prayer for a Deluge. Send me down soon an ancient drenching rain, a gray, unvaried, universal pall, pounding its desolation over all, and let me sit alone and cool again beneath dim joists and corrugated tin, and watch that ever-crashing curtain fall, shutting out road and barn with leaden wall, gusting the cold mist droplets to my skin, and musty smell like some astringent air Puritans wash their faces in, sifting with its straight mesh my brains till bare of all but its own all-allaying din, diluting clotted stains and leaching me clean as sands winnowed by the primal seed. This poem is titled The Storyteller. It's based on folk tales that I remember from my childhood in Alabama. I heard a man ran off one time with Aunt Rennie DeJohnet's money, but without Aunt Rennie. And I heard she had sued the president of the First National Bank, won, and paid the rest of her life for it. But as long as I can remember, she lived in a shack out on the Troy Highway, crazy as a bat, took in washing, and propagated an endless flock of fool stories I never could brush out of my mind. She used to tell about the time Joe said to Amarillo, "You take this butcher knife and wait at the front door, and I'll take this ice pick and wait at the back door, and you call out, 'Run, Mooney, Joe's after you,' and one of us will be sure to get him." Well, Mooney ran out the back door, and when people came, Joe said, "Amarillo done it." And the judge said, "Electric chair, Amarillo. But if you go by that place on a dark night, you can hear a voice saying over and over, 'Joe done it, Joe done it.'" And I remember her telling about an old woman who was always chasing after a young man. And the young folks told her, "Sit up on this tin roof all night naked under a wet sheet, and you'll win your young man soon in the morning." So there she squatted like a cold storage hen, shivering and moaning, "I'll win me a young man soon in the morning." But the only young man she won was the undertaker. And sometime, just before daylight, you can still hear her moaning, "Soon in the morning, I'll win me a young man soon in the morning." And Aunt Rennie used to tell about a parrot a woman kept in a cage over her bureau. And every time the woman undressed, the parrot would screech out, "I sees your bohunkus, 'deed I do." And the woman got so mad, she said, "Next time you say that, I'm going to wring your neck and throw your head in the compost pile." So the next time the woman undressed, sure enough, the parrot screeched out, "I sees your bohunkus, 'deed I do." So the woman wrung his neck and threw his head on the compost pile. 'Deed she did. And about that time, they killed a rooster to serve the preacher. They wrung the rooster's neck and threw his head on the compost pile, right next to the parrot's head. And the parrot's head looked over at the rooster's head and cocked his eye kind of quizzical and said, "Whose bohunkus did you see?" Aunt Rennie to Janet, wherever you are, nobody tells where your shack used to stand, but just 2 live oaks and a clump of chinaberry trees. But I can still hear your old cracked voice insinuating those beggar-like stories of yours. This poem is titled "A Little Jug Music." In the 1920s, a popular kind of musical group were jug bands, small jazz bands using homemade instruments like a washboard for rhythm. For the bass notes, often they would blow over the mouth of an empty jug, and that would give a nice bass sound instead of a bass fiddle. So for this poem, I imagined a dump where the empty jugs were thrown out, and I call that Jugtown. There are 4 characters in this mention, and they are named for the different sounds made when you blow over the top: hoot, toot, honk, and rump. The title refers to Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik, and like Mozart's piece, it has 4 movements. A Little Jug Music. 1. Allegro. In Jugtown on Saturday night, neat fifths and gallons all come out. Tales go round of flagons smashed. Jeroboam mummers, "Glasses frail." Old Crock and Joram debate which came first, the liquor or the keg. What is the world but one vast jug? What is man but a jug of jugs? Each sounds its clank and tinkle. Barrels of bullet, pipes of amber song pour out all evening till they drop stained, reeking, void, drunk dead. 2. Adagio. Late when the east wind blows, the jugs turn up their mouths and moan of bottles etched to rainbows under the silent mud, of demijohns dreaming corn whiskey and sunken amphoras like great crusted tears. Our burden was mirth and oblivion. Who are we now that our work is done? The moaning is pleasant. It laves the sides and tickles old residences. Strange, the full notes come only when the wine is gone. 3. Andante, maestoso. Hoot, toot, honk, and rump got drunk and landed in the dump. All-powerful booze, they cried. Was it for this that we endured the kiln, the funnel, and the cork? Stood steadfast on the shelf and never leaked or splashed? "O jugs," the mighty spirit said, "your bodies are but dross and destined for the long fill. Yet every shape inspired will speak its name, which is itself and its eternal fame." 4. Rondo, allegro. Ain't gonna tote, ain't gonna hoe. Tell the captain, ain't gonna go. Pick my daisies where they grow. Hoot, toot, home, rump. Everybody, here's my name. When I'm there, it's still the same. Fun's my study, now's my game. Hoot, toot, home, rump. Fling butt, sing, stomp. Scream, steam, squeeze, thump. That's what we call the Jugtown Jump. Hoot, toot, honk, rump.